Today's episode was pretty interesting. We talked about all kinds of shit. We talked about Will's toe surgery, and then went on all sorts of tangents from there. Seems like it was a pretty traumatic event for him. Isn't that right, mate? It's pretty weird.
Well, I've got a story to tell.
What is it, Will?
Do you
like that setup?
It involves my toe, a doctor, 2 needles, an incompetent nurse.
Is this a riddle?
A fainting episode, a near fainting episode, lots of blood.
Ooh.
5 jelly beans. And
You got a good memory.
that's about it, I think.
That's your itinerary.
And it goes a little bit like this. My toe's been ingrown for a few weeks now.
Your toe has been ingrown.
I've had an ingrown toenail for a few weeks now. And
What would that look like?
it looks fucked.
Nah, an ingrown toe.
That'd be pretty fucked. I guess it wouldn't. If it was ingrown, it wouldn't
You'd
just
have
be a stump.
You'd have
It'd be
6 toes. Yeah.
Like an innie belly button,
Ooh.
which is actually the normal kind of belly button.
Is that how it's supposed to be? And then everything else is
Actually,
like, you're
I
fucking
shouldn't
weird.
discriminate against Audis.
I have half.
Yeah,
It's weird.
that's cool. You sort of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so ingrown toenail, it's been like inflamed for 6 weeks. It started to look like it was getting better probably 2 weeks after it flared up. But it's just taking a turn for the worse. So booked in an appointment to have it cut out. That was this morning. So I go down. I'm not going to mention the medical practice. I just don't want to start. I don't want to name and shame, but it's pretty fucking shitty. Shitty experience from
It
the
starts with
get-go.
a B and it's the suburb that you live in.
So anyway, everything was wrong from the start. I go in there. I don't want to be like fucking bit of a dickhead, but it was a 40-minute wait, which was kind of annoying. But
When did your appointment start?
It was
late?
started at 11:20. I got in there by the time I actually got in there, it was like 12, something like that.
Okay.
That was pretty shitty. But that's the least of my concerns, really. So I go in. The doctor calls me in, and I went into this little sort of room where he had like one of the beds set up, and next to the bed he had like one of those like wheelie sort of tray things that he had to like his all his syringes and all his equipment and his scissors and gauze and whatever else. He was ready to go, which was cool, except he didn't have his chair. So I sit down on the bed.
He didn't have his chair.
He didn't have his chair.
He misplaced it, or
The nurse, apparently someone had stolen it. The nurse comes in and says, "Oh, someone's stolen it."
she was trying to fix a light bulb or something, and
The nurse was coming and going the whole time. She was, and she just justified this towards the end, and it made no sense. So I sit down. He calls her in, Annalise. He calls her in, the nurse. Says, "Oh, where's my chair? Do I have to do this whole thing like standing up?" They're adjusting the height of the bed to sort of get it optimal now that he's got to stand up. And anyway, I was watching him pretty intently, but I would feel for anyone that wasn't watching the doctor in this circumstance, because he grabs the needle, no words exchanged to me whatsoever, just grabs the needle, swings over with one hand. He doesn't even use his other hand to like stabilize my toe, my foot. Grabs the needle and just like one-handed just jabs it in and starts going for it.
he's a cowboy.
And like I'm pretty steady with needles.
Bush mechanic.
But if it was someone that was like pretty skits with them, like that'd be a fucking nightmare. They would have been jumping around, snapped off needle stuck in their toe, bloody local anaesthetic pissing out everywhere. You get screaming Indian doctor. It's going to be insane. He was Indian. I'm not generalising.
Why is that relevant?
Off to a bad start. Anyway, so he has to use that initial needle. He fills me up with that local anaesthetic. Then he gets some more. Every time so when he needed to get some more, he had to call the nurse in to grab some. Every time he needed the nurse, he had to like yell out to her because she was in the other room. I later found out that she's not good with toe stuff, so she was avoiding us.
What was her name?
Annalisa. Annalisa needs some more local.
Calling her out like shit.
Yeah. So it sucks. The next thing that sort of went wrong was I don't mind watching these kind of things. Like I'm pretty good with it. So I was just like leaning over, sort of looking at what he was doing. He grabs his scissors. He cuts straight down the side of the toenail that was giving me grief. Cuts right down to the nail bed and then just keeps going. And he probably goes, I want to say, 0.5 centimetre to 3/4 centimetre, just straight into the flesh of my toe. And they, in my initial appointment where they basically determined that I'd need like minor surgery, once we'd agreed that I was going to get the minor surgery done and we booked in a date, they never gave me any warning that I need, like it makes sense, but they never gave me any warning that I needed to eat before this surgery. So I'm going in this morning on an empty stomach.
It's almost like they assumed you've done this multiple times.
Yeah. It's just stupid. So empty stomach, I'm watching, and then I just get this overwhelming, like faint, dizzy feeling, and like that, you know, with that sort of feeling you get when you're like just about to vomit, getting that, and I'm just like
sweaty.
Yeah, I got really
Palms are
sweaty, and apparently I was starting to look white.
Someone had to say it.
It was terrible. So the nurse is nowhere to be found as well. So I said to the doctor, I think I'm going to be sick. So I lay back. I couldn't watch what he was doing to me anymore, and starts yelling at Annalisa again. She comes after like 2 minutes of like fucking trauma of me just sitting there like trying to concentrate and not dying. And then in she comes, she grabs me some water, sort of suck on that a bit. She drops the bed, like the sort of the angled top part of the bed that it sort of propped me up. She drops that down. I'm laying down now. And she gave me 5 jelly beans as well because my blood sugar was pretty low. But I was really skitzing out.
Yeah, that'll work. Because I was actually looking at a chart today and I was like, carbohydrates, insulin level, and jelly beans were like way up top.
Yeah.
So that'd quickly.
Yeah, pretty
That makes so much
instantly.
more sense. Like every doctor,
jelly beans.
yeah, every doctor you go to has jelly beans.
Yeah.
Makes so much sense.
So I asked him as well while this was all happening, like what impact does not eating have on like having minor surgery? And I think what he ended up saying was, if you lose, because there was a lot of blood being lost during this, not like a freaky amount, but like a decent amount, as he's like cutting through my flesh, and as he was actually cutting through my flesh and I was watching it, I remember distinctly thinking like, I'm not feeling any pain obviously because of the local anesthetic, but I feel like I'm feeling a lot of discomfort because my brain is like seeing what's happening and almost like trying to fill in the blanks. Like, I know this should be hurting me. Like, I'm not actually getting the pain sensation, but here, have a little bit of discomfort, which was interesting just to
Phantom
note.
pain.
Yeah, it almost was. Yeah, and then anyway, so. He was saying something about how when you lose a little bit of blood, if your blood sugar is low already because you haven't eaten, it has a significant impact on you, as opposed to having a blood sugar level if you've eaten. So that was cool. But yeah, anyway, the nurse is just coming and going. She can't handle it. And they're so blasé as well. They're like talking about their weekend and like they're just completely detached.
I fucked up last week, yeah.
They're talking about some crab festival.
I think that's more to just like distract you or to like
but
just
like to each other, and then I was
like
just
not
like,
even involving
I was
you.
just sitting there like, But this whole time they did nothing to like make you feel comfortable or anything, and particularly no warning on the needle. Like, come on, like,
bedside manner's gone out the window.
at least tell me before you shove a needle in my toe. Like,
Yeah,
I know it's going to happen. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, you're gonna use a local anesthetic for this, but fuck.
Yeah, there's
tell
like
me.
Amongst all health professionals, this is supposed to be like a sort of like a, am I okay to like do my work on you? Like that's like the general thing. Like, is it okay if I touch you is like the main thing, like getting consent from your
That's what
patient.
they teach you in first aid, isn't it? Like,
Teach you that in
I reckon
fucking
you would
everything.
have sued him by now.
Yeah, you fucking probably like if you felt terrible about the situation, it's probably a lot on your side
Yeah,
to
I think so.
go ahead with something.
Just another thing to note is I've had this procedure done on my other big toe, and never before. I've actually had it done 3 times on my other big toe, and they've never cut that deep into my toe. Like I've got stitches now. Like I've never had that before where they've had to put stitches in. So that's just a bad sign. And then I've only recently started going to this place because they bulk bill and it's close to my house. But I'm fucking not impressed. Eh? Even trying to book a checkup appointment as I'm leaving, like they're just so disorganized at the front desk that it's like no one there has any like professionalism.
Yeah.
They really don't.
That's not what you want to experience when you're doing something like that's really out of your comfort zone, and like you're there for a surgery or even just a checkup. You want people to be organised and make you feel comfortable to be in their
for sure.
practice.
Some people I'm sure would like that though, the real casual gung-ho nature about
casual, but like still
that
know what
office.
they're doing though.
Yeah.
I think
Like when it's disorganised.
Casual's okay, but as long as they're professional, so you get that sort of professional reassurance, like that you're in capable hands, they can be as casual as you like. But I don't think they hit that. Like
There's a difference between casual and like disorganised.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it was a bad experience, and no.
How's it feel right now?
It's feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
It's been a few hours now. You'd expect the anaesthetic to have worn off, but it's pretty good. Based on what I was looking at, it looked like it's going to be mad bruising.
Yep.
But it's gone pretty steady, so
Right.
we'll just see how it goes.
Yep. Godspeed to you.
Toe speed.
It does make you think, though, like how many times do we encounter people that have a professional experience and knowledge in a certain area? You're dealing with them, you're relying on their knowledge and experience. How many times do you think people deviate from like what is the acceptable minimum standard of how they should conduct themselves? And where do you think you might get it the most?
Where would you get it the most?
Like, yeah.
Where it's really important.
Yeah,
Where
where
there's stakes
it
involved.
might be, where it's really important but it's lacking as well.
Politicians, but we won't get into that. I don't know. What do you have anything?
As in like health professionals or just in general?
Anything. Like I'm thinking of, I don't want to compare this experience with what I'm about to say, but taxi drivers, like I think they have an enormous responsibility to make people feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
And then you have those isolated events where things go wrong. I'm not trying to bring hate towards anyone, but
where they're just the loosest drivers you've ever seen.
yeah, loose drive.
Changing
And then,
4 lanes at once.
yeah, that kind of shit. And even the ones that go as far as like, physically and like sexually, like harassing people and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different
that's
ball game.
That's a real
whole
minority.
different kettle of
Taxi drivers.
things. I don't know what the phrase is. Kettle of
Kettle
fish,
of
that's
fish.
it.
What does that even
Why you
mean?
got fish in your
Kettle
kettle?
of fish.
Anyway,
But what can you think of any others like that are like super important? And there's instances where I think we're let down a little bit.
outside of taxi drivers, I don't leave the house. So, no, I'm kidding.
What about even food, like in restaurants and stuff?
Restaurants. That's an interesting one because I actually don't like when wait staff are super professional. I like them being
Like
casual.
in a posh
Yeah.
kind of way.
like
yeah.
sort of straddling the line between professional and unprofessional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I get uncomfortable by it, like super
If it's too much.
stringent.
Yeah,
But
like if they
yeah.
use language that you wouldn't normally use, but they are because they're working and they're in work mode, I don't like that. If they use casual language that you would just use to someone that you're just talking to, like your mate, then it's like, oh, this place is cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I guess in general, maybe when the immediate attitude is like, I don't want to fucking be here. It's like,
And
I know your job sucks, but like, we're trying to get this transaction sorted. So
Yeah.
And it makes you question their knowledge and professional sort of sense. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, of course.
maybe what's it called? Telstra.
Call centers.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just customer service.
Yeah,
in general.
I mean over the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you call it, like get your name right, and it's like you live in Queensland. No, I don't. Where do you get that from? That's happened before. I've had our phone line cut like 3 or 4 times by Telstra workers themselves.
Yeah, right.
Like they're like digging up to put in a new line in, but at the same time cut our phone line.
Jeez.
Just like you should know,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah.
That you should know.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And then it takes like a week or 2 weeks to get it finished. One time we actually confronted like some workers at the front. We're like,
Don't cut
our
that fucking line.
our phone line is like it just died.
Yeah.
Did you guys just cut it up then? Like, no, just like refusing to admit it. Or maybe they just didn't even know, which is possibly even worse. That's just incompetence.
Ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss.
And then we come to find out by calling up like several days through customer service that it was actually cut, like it was manually cut.
And you had to use a mobile phone to call them, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, we had to, yeah, I don't know how we survived without our phone, our house phone. I don't know how.
House
I actually
phones are-
don't even know if we still have a house phone.
Yeah.
Like I haven't heard it ring in a long time.
No,
Yeah,
if
it's
it
a dying thing.
It'd be kind of scary.
My house phone only rings when it's telemarketers or like my grandparents.
We don't even
Yeah,
get
same.
telemarketer calls anymore.
Really? We get like 5 a day.
I don't know anyone
Yeah.
under the age of 25 that's got a home phone though. Like if they're living out of home, like
Nah.
that's a dead concept now.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah,
it.
there's not
That's
really
dead.
a purpose for it, is
Why
there?
exactly would you need it?
Yeah, you just don't. You just don't need it.
It's like-
I would argue that we don't even need the text messaging app now. It's just all messenger.
Or
Yeah, but what if you're,
we're going to have access to internet?
I guess,
What, even like on your 3G?
Yeah.
I was about to say, what if your 4G or 3G goes out, but then you couldn't text anyway?
Yeah, that's what
What
I
if
mean.
your Wi-Fi goes out?
Why can't you text?
Well, then you could use
'Cause
4G.
if you lose your 4G, you lose your cell reception. Like that would be the main
yeah.
problem
Yeah.
that would cause it. So it's like whenever you text on text messenger, if you get a green one pop up, you're like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Yeah.
Do I
You're
still
like,
have wheels on my fucking car outside?
it's like you, an Android owner.
Oh, don't even get me started. Fucking Android. I had a couple of guys in the car the other day when I was doing Uber, and they were South African dudes, like really funny, lovely, boisterous dudes. Picked them up
Really?
from yeah, oh yeah. I should from the raffles. Picked them up from the raffles.
Yes, you'd expect.
And one of them was so I've got 2 charger cords that run to the back of my car and they sort of sit on the floor for the passengers there. One's Apple, so it's a lightning cable, and one is the fucking Android one.
Retard one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that the one that one of them had an Apple phone, one of them had an Android phone. So the Android dude picks it up and goes, "Oh, it's an old one." I was like, "I don't give a fuck. Get out of my car, you backwards savage."
Caveman.
Nah, but yeah,
They're coming back.
that was such a useless story.
Android owners are on the rise, I reckon. No one.
Where is this statistic coming from?
My brain.
Yeah?
I'm
What's
making them
the
up.
old Google Pixel?
Yeah.
That one actually is on the rise.
That's
A
what I
few
mean,
people
yeah.
will get that one.
Is that,
Some
so
people
that
are-
use like an Android?
Shouts out Google.
Yeah.
Does it use an Android OS?
I,
what is it?
I just assume everything that's
I don't know.
that's not Apple is its own thing.
just
like they're all just grouped into one.
Something else.
Yeah. It's Apple and everything else.
Yeah.
They're all in cahoots.
Bet they fucking are.
Yeah. Google and Samsung and other
They're all
Android
listening to
things.
us
Hopefully.
24/7,
Yeah. Along with Siri.
especially Siri.
Do you
She's a
think
pervert.
we're going to go anywhere? So phones is basically like nowadays it's a device that incorporates so many things.
Your
It
life.
incorporates obviously a phone, it incorporates a camera with the list is endless now with the amount of apps you've got as well that you can use. You got, for basic examples, like the Compass app,
Doodle jump.
Doodle jump, shit like that. But do we think that phones can go? Do you think that phones are going to become like a forgotten concept, and there's going to be something that replaces it? Like,
Yeah.
and what? I mean, I already have an answer to this. Or not an answer, but it's a speculative thought.
If you look back at history,
Yeah.
technology constantly changes.
What do you think it might evolve into? Like, if we go,
We'd have no
Phones away.
idea. Because
Yeah.
do you think before we had,
Cars.
or I guess when cell phones first came out, there were giant bricks,
yeah,
and
fall out.
only rappers and people on Wall Street would
Yeah.
have those sort of phones.
And they cost so much, like
you
ridiculous
wouldn't
amounts.
imagine that you could get like an iPhone touchscreen, glass screen for, I don't know, like $50 a month. With
Yeah.
everything you could possibly research at the tip of your fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
no
couldn't
one
imagine that. So
yeah, no one would conceptualize that.
we can't really imagine how it's going to evolve from here on out.
I have an idea.
Possibly some sort of brain implant,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you process things in your own head.
Yeah,
what do they
it's
call it?
all
brain computer interface.
I
That
don't
kind
know.
of thing.
Yeah.
I don't exactly want that though, because there's enough things going on up there.
It'd almost be a thing that you just don't have a choice. Like everyone just ends up conforming to the next
social,
thing.
that peer pressure kind of social.
Yeah, and you just fall behind.
Momentum.
If like imagine, if people had this interface, whatever, like in your brain.
You don't have a Google neurological interface.
I don't.
You're a fucking loser.
Fucking narc.
How do we contact you?
Yeah.
I can just
It
imagine
would just be like, you don't even need to speak anymore. Like you can just like send them messages. Like
Yeah,
You know, people who are like, I'm not on Facebook, or I'm not on social media. It'll probably be
Like
like,
you?
I am on social media.
not all of it.
Check
Though.
me out right here. No, I'm kidding. It'll be like, I took my brain chip out. Sorry, you can't.
yeah,
Yeah.
If you
don't
need to
even-
contact me, just hit me up on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that would be
Just
like
see
the
me in person,
indie,
like, what?
indie thing to do. Like, just hit me up on Facebook.
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's going to get very Black Mirror-esque, and I think we're going to have chips in our brains that has the
chips.
capabilities of our phones, and when we want to interact with that technology, I think it would take over our field of view, and it would be like the home screen of a phone, and you just sit there with like a fucking glazed look on your
But
eyes.
it's not like projecting. It's like just you can see it.
You can see it.
What do you foresee the future of toenail surgery to be?
Well, I definitely hope it picks up a little bit.
Hopefully there'll be consent.
Yeah,
That'd be a good first
consent
step
would be nice.
before jabbing needles into you. That'd be lovely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ooh. I like the idea though. One of the concepts that I like about having like a brain computer interface is the concept of direct communication in more direct than what's currently. So when I have a thought, and this is coming from someone who finds it a little bit difficult to articulate their thoughts, but I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm like, wow, I really need to share this with someone. But then when I say it, it's not as satisfying. It's not just like, it's not capturing the real essence of it. So I think that when we have chips, because when we're communicating now, like I think something, I have a limited amount of words to be able to express those thoughts. Some of them are incomprehensible anyway. I put them into words, then you have to understand those words, take those words and translate them into thoughts. And it's like along that whole process that the meaning is lost. It's well and truly lost. It's probably lost by the time I take that thought and put it into words. It's already like there's a bit of lost in translation sort of thing.
I don't know what you mean. No, I know
that's
exactly.
funny.
Yeah.
I do know
That's a
exactly
prank.
what you mean, because
Yeah.
language, culture, all of that, it's all a filter.
Yeah.
Obviously, because language is just like a tool we use to sort of go from here to outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To translate.
Yeah. I think
what exactly is going on there. But yeah, being able to transfer pure thought, a pure
directly
feeling
to other people.
directly at other people would, that could be a possibility.
That's
I'm
kinda
even
scary.
thinking about the therapeutic benefits as well. Like if
Yeah.
you go and communicate with a therapist, you don't even really need to go and communicate with them. Say you just have some kind of like diary date in your fucking operating system, and then it's like a Skype call in your head.
Yeah.
They can feel and understand what you're experiencing, what you're trying to communicate to them, exactly how you experience it. Like that would have wonderful benefits to talk to a professional like that.
I reckon it would get pretty dangerous pretty quick though, because it's like you would start to lose the barrier between reality and like thoughts in your own head.
Yeah.
Like you might start thinking that you're having a conversation, like me and you are having a conversation with no words being exchanged. We're just having this like thought conversation.
Yeah.
But it turns out I'm just thinking it all in my head and you're not like saying anything to me. You're just looking at me like, what the fuck's this guy looking at?
Damn.
Wait, what do you mean? So
He's saying
you think the line will be blurred between conversation and
yeah, I
a
think
thought?
yeah.
Your own
Yeah.
thoughts, and then someone
On someone
communicating
else's
with you.
communicate.
thoughts. Well, I guess it probably wouldn't be as simple as that, would it? It would
Yeah,
be able to feel that it's coming from a different source,
possibly.
potentially.
It's interesting how it
Who
would
knows?
work.
This is all
how the whole
hypothetical,
system
so-
would work. Yeah.
Someone's going to take this idea and run with it.
I read a massive article that was all about that. It started off talking about Neuralink, which is the Elon Musk endeavor that he's got going on, and it's talking about inventing brain-computer interfaces.
He's so busy.
He's a very busy man. This article was huge. It took me 5 days. This was when we went up north for work. I was reading it every day at lunchtime and stuff like that. It took me days to read, and it went through the history, the neuroscience aspect, and the history of communication, talking about cells communicating with each other, and then when we
Yes.
became, before we could speak, even then, how we were communicating everything. I need to be mindful of how much time we've got left, but I lost that train of thought.
The article.
Cell communication.
The article actually talked a little bit about how it would actually work in terms of what you were saying, like practically, how do we differentiate between different thoughts and stuff. It actually addressed that, and it had it was able to use like current understandings of technology to explain it, and it was really good. Unfortunately, I can't draw on it, but maybe I could put it in the show notes or something.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah. I think you'd be able to tell. It'd be distinct.
yeah.
But like if you had mental illness or something, you might struggle. You might be like, whoa.
Possibly. Well, if
What's
we get to the
going
point
on?
where we can directly transfer pure thought, then we'll probably have ways to eradicate mental illness, I'm sure.
And what if people start like listening to your thoughts? Like you involuntarily,
Well, I mean, they already are.
you're involuntarily giving them information from your head that you don't want to have.
You could have a switch of some sort. Like if we could
What if
figure
it
out,
overheats and shuts down?
And then you die and lose
Yeah.
all your memories.
but if that all happens, what would happen to language and therefore culture? Do you think it'll all sort of dissolve and become one thing? Because there'd be no barriers.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'd be very interesting.
Because culture obviously is a abstract social sort of creation,
Yeah.
and if there's no barriers anymore, then it all becomes one, like a monoculture.
Yeah.
Getting closer to the singularity.
Sure.
Is that good or bad?
That's
Let's
a whole
rip-
new topic.
Let's rip open the singularity with our bare hands and jump in.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go for it. I want it.
All right, that'll do us for today, guys.
Bloody cliffhanger.
Thanks for watching.
Check your toenails. Keep your feet clean.
PSA.